Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Today, at long last, I'm going to be having a look at this little monster here, the Panzer IIJ. It's a premium Tier 3 German light tank, and it is as rare as rocking horse shit. Right now, the only way to get one of these tanks is via a bonus code from the Russian servers. These tanks are only available in limited edition boxed set versions of World of Tanks on the Russian servers. So in order to get one of these, I had to find somebody from the North American server who travels back to the Ukraine, get him to buy a boxed copy of this in the Ukraine, bring it back to the US, open it, and sell me the gift code contained inside. This tank cost me $250. Now it does come with 10,000 gold and 3 months of premium account, but it was still $250. Is it worth that kind of money? Well, I think so. Your opinion may vary. What's so special about this little thing though, aside from it being as rare as rocking horse shit? Well, a couple of things. First, it gets premium matchmaking. This thing will only ever get into tier 3 and 4 games. The reason it gets premium matchmaking is, unfortunately, because it has one of the worst guns in the game. No question about it. This 20mm flat gun is absolutely awful. The accuracy is terrible, but 0.57 accuracy is nothing spectacularly bad down at tier 3. But it only has 23mm of penetration and does 11 average damage. And that's bad news. With 23mm of penetration, you cannot reliably penetrate an M3 Stuart from the front, side or rear. And the M3 Stuart is not exactly famous for being well armoured. With 23mm of penetration, the only place you can reliably penetrate a Panzer II is from the rear of the hull. You know, that's pretty bad. And that's astonishingly bad. The LOL tractor down here at tier 1 gets a gun with 40mm of penetration. The Panzer II, with its flat cannon, has 39mm of penetration. The gun is bad. It's very, 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 very bad. In fact, if you were to run this gun with nothing but premium ammo, you still only get 46mm of penetration. Even with premium ammunition, that gun is just average. It's a very, very, very bad gun. It's also a very slow tank. It's got one of the worst power to weight ratios in the game. 8.77 horsepower per ton. It only has a 160 horsepower engine in a almost 20-ton tank. It's not quite as bad as a machine like the AMX-40, where the listed top speed is just a work of fiction that you will only ever achieve if you're going downhill. This thing will do 31 kilometers per hour, but it takes a long time to get there. But none of that matters, because it has 80mm of armour at the front, hull and turret. That's right, this thing has more frontal armour than a KV-1, tier 5 heavy tank. It's got 50mm hull and turret at the side and the rear. And that's what makes this little thing such an object of desire. It is monstrously tough. And it really isn't afraid of your typical tier 2 and 3 seal clubbing machines like the T-18 or the T-82, for example, because it has so much armour. It just chews up high explosive shells. And of course, if you completely troll and you fit a spall liner as well, you just shrug off damage from those little 75mm howitzers that would one-shot most of the tier 2 and 3 tanks. Now, it's usually at this point in a review where I start talking about the equipment fit and crew skills that you want on a tank, but I'm not going to waste your time. None of you are ever going to get your hands on one of these things. I mean, yeah, spall liner, definitely, right? A small spall liner on this thing Just makes you laugh at howitzer gunners. They just can't damage you. Vents, yeah, but and again, you know, what's the point? The chances that most of you are even going to see one of these things in a game, let alone get to drive one, are vanishingly small. So I can sit here talking at great length about crew skills and equipment fit, and it would be completely pointless. So instead, we're just going to jump straight to the games and show you the kind of fun you can have driving one of these little nightmares. This is really not a tank that that you can do well with in platoons for a number of reasons. First of all, you get into a tier 3 or 4 game and your platoon mates tend to hoover up all the kills before you can get anywhere near the targets. And secondly, this thing gets preferential matchmaking, and it gets preferential matchmaking for a damn good reason. It is almost 100% completely ineffective in a tier 5 game, and if you platoon up with other vehicles that do not get preferential matchmaking, you will suffer. You are almost completely incapable of damaging anything that you come up against in a tier 5 game, as you can see here. However, you're not 100% completely useless. I'm taking cover behind a KV-1 here, but I actually have more frontal armour than him. And as you're going to see, these guys can all relatively easily kill that KV-1 if they would just shoot at him. But instead, everybody sees a light tank hiding behind the heavy tank. And so instead of shooting at the target that they can penetrate, they all fire at me. And the KV-1 and M5 Stuart are cleaning up. Just putting shot after shot after shot into these guys as they come around the corner, desperate to be the one to kill that weird little German tier 3 light tank. I mean, I'm doing no damage here whatsoever, but I'm not exactly useless to the team. I'm basically taking all of those shots that would otherwise be killing machines that are actually capable of doing damage to the enemy team. So, you know, killed by their own stupidity. But you'll see people doing that all the time. There's a light tank there I could be shooting at, or there's that KV-1. I'll shoot at the light tank. Yeah. This isn't a light tank like any other light tank in the game. Total damage done, 0. Wait till you see the potential damage received. So, despite doing 0, I mean, seriously, no damage whatsoever to any of the enemy tanks, I still finished halfway up the table on XP earned, and potential damage received in a tier 3 light tank in a tier 5 game. 1015. 8 hits, 2 penetrations, 1015 damage taken. This is one tough little bastard of a tank. So, it's a tier 3 game, and we're on Himmelsdorf. This is the kind of matchup that Panzer IIJ drivers dream of having. Unfortunately, it's not actually strictly ideal, because I'm in a platoon with Quickie Baby and Ike, and they're both very good. And to have an absolutely monster game in a Panzer IIJ, you really kind of need the rest of your team to suck. Because you want the enemy team to kill most of your friends so that you can cruise around at your leisure, killing everything that's left. And you have to be very, very aggressive indeed if you have anybody good on your team to really achieve anything. Now bear in mind, I have nothing but APCR ammunition loaded in this thing, and you're going to see Ike the coward, using me as cover throughout this entire game. Side shots on a Cruiser 2? No problem. T-82? No problem. You notice the T-82 fired. Tier 3 tank destroyer, very powerful howitzer. No damage whatsoever. Now it's a different matter shooting at the front of that T-70 and T2 medium, unless I get to point blank range and aim for weak spots. Most of my shots just aren't penetrating unless I go for the lower glacis of that T2 medium from the front. And the front of a T-70, well, he's given up shooting at me. He's just wasting his time, which allows me to drive up onto his side and finish him off. This is with premium ammunition. That's just how terribly bad the gun is. But I think it's entirely fair that the gun is terribly bad, because almost everything else about this tank is so ridiculously overpowered. And that, unfortunately, is just about the limit of my involvement in this game. From this point on, there was absolutely nothing left on this side of the map that I could kill. And the Panzer IIJ is a lot of things, but it's not very fast. You'll see I will get up to about 30 kilometers per hour, but look at how long it takes me to get there. And Ike, in his Panzer S35, has realised that my usefulness to him as a mobile shield is over, and he goes off looking for other things to shoot at. Quickie Baby in his Panzer IIC is having a fantastic time. He has the speed to go and chase down the remaining enemy tanks, and in this thing I just don't. So, and look at the numbers here. That T-70, I had to shoot him 44 times in order to do 75 damage to him. That's how massively bad that gun is. The T-82, I only had to hit 10 times in order to kill him. The LTP, 13 times. And I only did 40 damage. The Cruiser I hit 15 times, but I did do 127 damage to him. The M2, 17 times in order to do 91 damage. The T-82, yeah, 10 times, 83 damage. The gun is terrible. It really, really is terrible. But we didn't do too badly. And it's just a real shame. This T-82 down here, I mean, a tier 3 tank destroyer like that in a game like this, he should have had a monster game. He was just unfortunate enough that I was the first thing he ran into. He just could not penetrate my armour. And I didn't actually fire that many shots in this game. I only lost 40,000 credits. This is not a money-making tank. Right? Not all premium tanks earn money. In this thing, well, as in anything, in order to earn money, you have to do damage to the enemy team. You cannot do damage to the enemy team on this thing with normal ammunition. And you are never going to earn money in this tank firing premium. That was a 40,000 credit loss with a premium account. This thing ain't a moneymaker. So, another tier 3 game in the Panzer IIJ. And you really do have no excuse for not doing well driving this machine with this kind of matchmaking. Threats on the enemy team? Well, artillery is a threat to this tank if it lands a shot on top where the armour is the thinnest. But this thing, and I highly, highly recommend you fit a Spol liner to this, because it has monster armour anyway, and a Spol liner adds an extra 20% armour protection against high explosives. The kind of thing that howitzers like the T-82 and the T-18 love to fire at people. And the frustration and rage of howitzer-equipped tank destroyers when they see a light tank, they fire, they hit, and they expect to one-shot kill you, and when they see themselves doing no damage, it's worth the entrance price alone. Now, so we're on mines anyway, tier 3 game. We've had an LTP rushed up the hill, got taken out by an enemy cruiser 4, and nobody else has gone up the hill. And now there goes another one. So they've got an LTP and a cruiser 4 up the hill. There's another LTP sneaking around the flank here. He's likely to get around behind me, but yeah, I've got 50mm of armor even at the rear of this thing, and even if he does get a shot at me, it's going to be heavily angled, so I'm not too worried about him. Then again, I do have shots at him, so why the hell not? Get shots at the side of one of these things, I really should be taking them. Did most of the damage, medium 3 finishes him off. Yeah, that's fine. Now, up the top of the hill, there's an LTP and a cruiser 4 up here. And I'm getting shot at by all sorts. Artillery, M2 medium it looks like, probably using the howitzer. Negligible damage from multiple high explosive hits. Cruiser 4's dead. It looks like the LTP got killed as well. So I should have the top of the hill to myself. In one of the slowest tanks on the team. Bizarre, but hey, here you go. Now, we know that they have an LTP, T-46 and a T-127 in the town. There's almost certainly going to be one of their tank destroyers camped in that bush. So I'll put some fire down there anyway, just try to provoke a reaction, but nothing fires back. I'm joined up here by another M2 medium. We are losing 4-9. And, you know, this is not something to really worry about when you're driving a Panzer IIJ. As I said in the previous clip, you do really want your team to be mostly pretty bad. Because this tank, it's not like the Panzer IIC, which anybody can kill, but in the hands of a skilled player is really, really dangerous. With the Panzer IIJ, you can't rush around the way a Panzer IIC does. Just, you know, circling, outmaneuvering and outshooting your enemies. You have to kind of hope that most of your team dies. It's a horrible thing to say. You kind of have to hope that most of your team are not very good. Give you the time that you need in this thing to get the kills. You can take the hits, but the speed and lack of maneuver, or the lack of speed and lack of maneuverability of this thing really puts you at the mercy of good teammates who will clean up before you get the chance to put this thing into action. So having a team that mostly sucks isn't actually a bad thing when you're driving a Panzer IIJ. As you're going to see. There's only 4 of us left now. We only have 5 kills. Okay, there's my second kill. And you'll notice that the kills that I have so far have all been on the sides of other tanks. You're going to see just how appallingly bad this gun is at the front of an enemy tank. Again, very soon. So there's nothing happening on this hill. So I decide to get down off the hill and go looking for targets. Now, T-70. You saw how poorly the Panzer IIJ's 20mm gun fared against the T-70 on Himmelsdorf. Now, he cannot penetrate me. And I can't penetrate him either. Not from the front. Even with premium ammunition. The AT1 driver is... I was very, very happy with the result of this game for the enemy AT1 driver because he was an obnoxious prick. I give up on that T-70 and turn around and kill the T-46 instead. If I'm going to kill the T-70, I'm going to need shots at his side. And our artillery zaps him, forcing him to spin, and gives me shots at the side, so I get the kill. Now, there's a T-18 up there, dangerous machine. and I've got my side to him. So I'm trying to straighten this thing out. I'll just kill the AT-1 first. There we go. T-18 is just bouncing ineffectually off my armour. Kill him too. The AT-1 then starts raging in chat that I'm a gold noob. Well, yeah, it's fair enough. Oh, gold moron, actually. Now, the FTAC has a dangerous little gun. The T-18 finally inflicts some damage on me. And our artillery takes him out. Yes, I am a gold moron. Your point? Never mind. So, there's Top Gun anyway. And this artillery player, the guy in the Vespa, he was good. Credit where credit is due. He was a good little artillery player. And when you see the post-battle results screen, you're going to be particularly impressed with our Vespa driver. But more on that after the game. Now all I have left is a T-82 and a Sexton 2. I've lost a loader, which isn't that much of a problem in this thing. It does reload very, very quickly. But I only have 39 health remaining. The T-82, not too concerned about the T-82. He's either going to need to be firing gold at me, or get an unusually high penetration roll to do any damage whatsoever. The Sexton, just through brute firepower, could give me problems. And I'm expecting that T-82, given that he hasn't been detected this entire game, I am expecting him to be camping the ridge above the enemy base, where you usually see the tank destroyers hiding. And I'm just stopping to respond to chat there. I'm kind of saying, Jingles, just kill the rest. I'm kind of low health here, guys. Our artillery player is sitting there waiting for me to light targets up for him. And sure enough, there's the T-82, and I don't think he's seen me. He's probably not playing with 100% crew. He's probably only got 100 or so games played. Because he just sits there, lets me empty 2 magazines into him before he starts taking evasive action. Unfortunately, artillery misses. And he's ensconced well and truly behind that rock, and I just can't see him. But I don't think he's seen me. He must only have a 50% crew. Which is, isn't unusual at this sort of level. Our artillery just put a shot in. But couldn't get him because he's behind the rock. And that's when I spot their Sexton. Unfortunately, their Sexton has also spotted me. I put a second burst in, and then I back off. Artie's explaining the T-82's behind a rock, he can't hit him. I pop forward again, and that's when I spot the T-82. Easily finish him off, and this is where I meet my downfall. I back off because I know the Sexton is pre-aimed, but I don't stay back long enough to drop off his radar, and he takes full advantage of that. So, well played to the enemy Sexton driver. And badly played me for being overconfident. And I congratulate him in chat. Good shot, Artie, because, it was a good shot. Unfortunately, our Vespa player then says, oh, thank you. No, I wasn't. I mean, you played well. I'm not saying you didn't play well, but I was actually congratulating the enemy artillery for killing me. You're welcome anyway. Now, of course, now I'm dead. It's anybody's game. Scores are 14-14. It's an Artie versus Artie game, so... Conscious of the fact that our Vespa driver probably hasn't got many games under his belt, I'm trying to coach him through what he needs to do. I'm saying you're going to have to go after him. This could take a while, so I'm going to speed things up to double speed. Just so you can see the end of the game without spending the next 5 minutes watching artillery manoeuvre into position. I'm explaining to him. He's going to be watching the bushes where I was. And the rest of the team has given this guy encouragement as well. And, he's like, yeah, I'll try. He's obviously a newbie. We don't want to put too much pressure on him. He's probably feeling a lot of pressure anyway. He's got 3 kills. He's done well. But the fate of the game now rests on his shoulders. He's probably not been in this position before. So I'm notifying him. You want to go Head down to B8. What I'm trying... Oh, we're being capped. Never mind. We know where he is now. XVM's having a bit of a brain fart. It's saying that there are 2 people capturing our base. Don't really see how that's possible. We're trying to coach this guy as well without, trying not to put too much pressure on him. Stay close to the rocks. Don't let him see you coming, or just keep moving fast. And bless him, he does his best. And he's just had his gun knocked out. And I didn't have time to type in chat, don't pop up from the same direction. But he doesn't have a lot of choice because he's about to cap anyway. Well, what can you say? At least he tried. He had a go. And well done to the 2 artillery players for fighting it out and not giving up all the way down to the end. Fun game, though. So it was a defeat, but it was fun, so who cares? And, of course, I got Top Gun with 7 kills, so as far as XP is concerned, I may as well have been on the winning team. And a couple of observations about driving the Panzer IIJ, especially if you're using gold ammo. And I do recommend using gold ammo on this thing. I know I'm going to go to hell, but 23 penetration, that'd be pretty bad for a tier 1 machine. In fact, look at the LOL tractor. Remember, the LOL tractor has 40mm of penetration, and it's tier 1. Oh. So, yeah, this basically means that running gold ammo on the Panzer IIJ, I lost 90,000 credits on that game. But I don't care, because it was fun. And another point that I want to take away from that game is regarding some of the players. Now, you might be watching that replay at the end thinking, no, Artie, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, old Moon Shogun here in his Vespa. Let's not be too critical, alright? He only has 130 games played. And he finished 2nd. That's not bad at all. So, and also, the enemy Sexton player. Again, this guy only has 111 battles played. That was a well-played game. And it's nice to see new players, exercising a bit of thought and doing well in these low-tier games. And beating professional seal clubbers like me. So well done to them. So, Panzer IIJ, it's immense fun. It can be incredibly frustrating at the same time because it's just so slow. And you'll find yourself praying for incompetent teams when you're driving this thing, so that they don't just rush around stealing all your kills. Because this thing, one thing it doesn't do is rush around the battlefield. Your biggest threat when you're driving one of these little things is going to be your American tank destroyers, other professional seal clubbers, specifically T-18 drivers and T-82 drivers who load high explosive anti-tank ammo. T-82 with 105mm howitzer, 101 average penetration, 350 average damage. Most people driving T-82s won't be loading high explosive anti-tank. Professional seal clubbers will. Also, the T-18, 91 penetration, 110 average damage. You see a lot of professional seal clubbers driving T-18s. Not all of them bother with high explosive anti-tank ammo because, it just doesn't need it. And the one other advantage that you do have in this little thing is a lot of people have never heard of it. They have no idea what this thing is like. It's a Panzer IIJ. What the hell's a Panzer IIJ? Don't know. Fire a shot at the front, 0 damage. What the hell? Most people are not aware of how strongly armoured this tank is. They wouldn't be able to tell you what a Panzer IIJ looked like if you asked them. And so it's important driving one of these things. When you come across people in T-18s and T-82s, you kill them quickly before they realise how ineffective their howitzers are on your frontal armour. And they're really the only threat you're going to come across. The biggest threat to your success in driving one of these things is having good teammates, because they're just going to run around and kill everything before you get the chance to. I've had so many games in this thing that have just been boring. Games on Prokhorovka, nightmare. They're over before you even get halfway across the battlefield. But under the right circumstances, this thing's great. As you've seen, it's just so much fun. And I feel like I'm cheating you telling you how great this little thing is and showing it to you, because I know that the vast majority of you are never even going to see one, let alone drive one. Only way you can get one of these things is with a gift set bonus code from copies of World of Tanks sold on the Russian server. But if you do manage to get your hands on one of these things, I guarantee you, you won't regret it. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.